Five Nights at Freddy's has been around for a good while now and has been a sensation ever since it became popular. So when I heard a movie was coming out, honestly, as a fan of the lore, I wanted to watch it. So me and my wife decided to watch it, and honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, come on guys, it wasn't going to be a masterpiece by any means, but by its own weird animatronic standards, it was good. Although the movie operates off the basis a certain extent of the lore, where there isn't really an origin story placed in the movie and sort of creates its own storyline with the characters. Yeah, yes, you heard it. It is probably, as you heard it already, this is a different spin on the franchise, although most of the story beats are essentially the same. There's just a little different spin on things, which make things interesting. This movie is honestly just a love letter to the fans, and it's for the fans of the series. The cameos, as well as the story, is done so well, and how they put together the atmosphere of, yeah, these are dead kids possessing mechanized suits. We're gonna use that, and they used it, pretty good, pretty great. I definitely did love how they dove into more of the supernatural stuff mixed in with the dream theory stuff. I thought that shit was banging. The story knows when to be serious and when to be goofy with all the supernatural stuff. And come on, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. There will be a certain amount of goofiness and seriousness that I feel like they did a great job balancing out the two aspects to a certain extent. What was actually surprising to me was how gruesome some of the scenes were. A sprinkle of death here and there, especially in the beginning, was a surprise considering the rating. Honestly, they did well with the level of horror PG-13 allows, and I know if they were able to get the R rating, it would have been crazy, but we might get a Winnie the Pooh situation where the murders committed by the animatronics may look goofy as hell instead of serious and scary. So honestly, my overall opinion on the movie is that it's good. A great watch if you're a fan of the series, since it hinges on the fact that you know about it. If you're new to the series and has never seen Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, never watched any of the YouTubers that's in the movie, and none of that, depending on your mindset, you could enjoy the movie, potentially. Or you could just say that the movie was lousy and fucking stupid. It's a movie for the fans for the most part. So if you enjoy the lore of the series, this movie would most likely, you would love it, right? Don't know shit about it, then there's a big chance that you might think it's stupid and hate it. For me, personally, I enjoyed this movie. I give it a solid 7. Was it a masterpiece? No. Was it watchable? Yes, and as a fan of the lore, which I learned more and more about through MatPat and other YouTubers and doing my own independent research on it, it was honestly a delight, and I enjoyed the series as a whole. Have I played, all the games? No, but I enjoyed the lore. I enjoyed hearing more about it and how crazy it can be. So this movie would definitely excite and, satisfy, just a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. And maybe even just a casual moviegoer who was just curious about it. But it's a 7 for me, so let's get into more of the spoiler-ish aspect of the video, right? So, let's talk about the movie, right? Let's talk about the whole shebang, right? What I really liked about the movie wasn't just diving into its supernatural roots, but incorporating the kids as much as, the kids being animatronics. I thought that was pretty cool. The kids who were killed by Afton are a big part of the movie, and it shows us, yes, these are kids, and even as animatronics, there are still kids who want and like to play. Sure, they will murder any bastards any day of the week with maximum violence, but with what they've been through, can't really blame them, So, the story follows Mike, who is struggling to keep a job due to his past trauma, causing him massive problems and, a lapse of judgment and decision making, aka beating a man in front of his kid thinking he was kidnapping said kid. So this stems from his own guilt and trauma being unable to help his own little brother who was kidnapped. So with dream theory, he tries to go back to that memory through his dreams to remember the man's face, and using, pills and, familiar stuff that he remembers from that memory to sort of get him back to that memory to, investigate. I thought that aspect was really cool. It's probably the most interesting thing about the movie is this whole dream theory thing, which is honestly just, it's cool. It's point blank cool. So now in the story, he beats a man, right? And they didn't really go back to that, which was kind of funny. They just kind of sideswiped that. But he gets a job from a random guy to be a security guard. And there is a subplot where the aunt wants to take his sister from his care, obviously to get that state check, and for taking care of her. That's really it. She just wants to take the kid just so she can get some extra money in her pockets. Surprisingly, the girl who has been babysitting Mike's sister, Abby, is essentially a spy for the aunt to find anything illegal, which sets a path for her and her friends to break into Freddy's and be brutally murdered. Especially the babysitter. Dear God, the babysitter. This little subplot was where we saw MatPat, which was, really nice. Nice to see my boy. But ultimately, this is where, the babysitter meets their end. They get fucked up by Freddy and everybody else, like I said. And especially the babysitter. She got bitten in half, which was surprising because of, obviously, the rating, right? So, while on this job, Mike meets Vanessa, who is very familiar with Freddy's. When Mike couldn't contact his babysitter for obvious reasons, right? He takes Abby to Freddy's, where the animatronics show themselves and play with Abby. Side note, it was nice that they didn't try and shoehorn in a romance, quote unquote romance, between Vanessa and Mike to add quote unquote character. Shows they knew what they wanted to do and didn't want to add anything unnecessarily, right? So back to the movie. Back to the movie. Of course, they didn't try to murder Mike yet. Mainly because Abby is there. While Mike was asleep for a good bit of the night, Abby and the other kids at Freddy's were playing together, and it was nice until Mike comes in and finds them. He was honestly freaked out. I would have been freaked out, right, if animatronics were just staring me down while they had my sister at arm's length. That shit would be terrifying and kind of weird. And I'm just looking at this shit yeah, I'd probably be freaked out too. But the next time they go back, because obviously the babysitter is indisposed, right? Vanessa is there, and Mike sort of confronts her about, knowing about Freddy's and about the animatronics. Interestingly, though, the baby animatronic is empty, but by the end of the night, Vanessa warns him to keep Abby, at home, keep her away from Freddy's. Obviously, here, we as the viewer can tell there is something going on, and now Mike knows too. It's kind of funny how they skip the whole research segment that these type of movies go for, and Mike just says, "Fuck it, I'm just going to work and just going with the flow," which was nice. It was a nice change of pace because he just truly just didn't care to really look into it. But he was in the shit already, so there's nothing really he could really do, right? This is where we get more into the dreams Mike has been having over the course of the movie, because the kids have been using his dreams to sort of feel him out and, most importantly, contact him. So Mike has been trying to use his dream memory to find his brother's captor and ask the kids for help, and they asked, what do they get? So after Vanessa told Mike to never bring Abby back to Freddy's, he goes back to talk to them and they ask for Abby. He first says yes, but he quickly retracts it and says no. Honestly, having the kids in kid form talk to Mike to get him to lower his defenses and even manipulate his dreams to show a perfect family he had before again was cool. It was really unsettling because they are actively using this to sort of manipulate him and make the situation much more crazy for him and complicated for him, and especially with how he feels. Although they didn't really him saying no didn't really matter, because the kids just ran with a yes and beat Mike's ass. They didn't kill him, though, for some odd reason. That's one thing I was confused about. I don't know why they didn't kill him, maybe out of respect for Abby, because maybe they thought of, he can still come visit Abby when she's one of us. So after they beat his ass, Vanessa finds him, patches him up, and, warns him to take his sister and essentially leave. Yeah, too little too late, because Freddy has already picked up Abby and kills their aunt, which is I guess fair. I guess she was kind of a psycho. Even her lawyer was like, Jesus Christ, she's fucking crazy. But this is where we see our boy Corey Kenshin as the driver taking both Abby and Freddy back to Freddy's. So to end the movie, Mike gets equipped with some electric-based weapons like a stun gun and the stun stick to go save his sister, where they are trying to put her in the baby animatronic. Of course, when Mike saves his sister and almost gets away, guess who the fuck shows up? Fucking Spring Bonnie. And guess who reveals himself? The one and only William Afton, and the guy who and he's the guy who gave Mike this job too. And this is played by the amazing Matthew Lillard. So gotta give props to him. He's cool as hell. Love his work. So he begins to beat the shit out of Mike, which was surprising. Kick the shit out of him. And I thought that was funny. But it was a semi-serious moment. So this is where Vanessa shows up, and it's revealed that she is Afton's daughter. She has been his partner in crime, helping clean up his messes, but she doesn't want to do it anymore. And essentially, I'm just saying now, she gets stabbed and falls into a coma, and that ends her little storyline in the movie. I thought that was interesting since we all know, if you've played the games, if you're well versed in the lore, that Afton's daughter gets killed by babies. So the fact that they changed this aspect was kind of nice. So back to the movie, the animatronics begin getting back up, and Mike realizes they are being manipulated by Afton, and figured out that it's the drawings, which he tells his sister to change to show the truth to the kids. And when she did change the drawings to be what actually happened, which cleared the fog from their memories and allowed them to remember what happened to them, they begin beating Afton's ass, which was kind of funny. And while the place is on fire and collapsing, I forgot for what reason, I don't know why it started to blow up. Essentially, they take him to the back with Foxy dragging him to the back, and they watch him die and suffer as he possesses the suit. And the kids are now watching him forever, or they passed on. It kind of just left him there. I don't know. It's kind of ambiguous to show, like, hey, we might go ahead and do a second movie if this one is successful, but if not, cool. We just leave him there in the back to die. Right? It don't matter. So that's honestly where the movie ends. Granted, Mike and Abby are still in the area, I suppose, and I don't know. Like they went ahead and visited Vanessa, who was in a coma. And, Abby's talking about perhaps maybe visiting again. But, Mike is like, hell no, we're not doing that shit. What the fuck? But overall, the movie was pretty good, in my opinion. Not a masterpiece, of course. Not great. But a decent watch, especially on Halloween. I did like how they kept the drawings being a big theme of the movie. Abby draws a lot, and the drawings bring a lot of context and hints throughout the movie. And, they are prominent in the early games too, so I thought that was cool to see. I'm open to watching a sequel. Do I think it should focus on Mike and Abby again? No, I don't think so. Maybe they can be supporting characters, and who knows, they can just essentially be like how Vanessa is in the first one, just are in the know of what's going on at the pizzeria, at Freddy's. As maybe in the second one, they can make it into a horror house for Halloween or whatever, or repurpose it and remake it to be like a whole new Freddy's. And Afton is now low-key controlling the animatronics and using them for his own means in the second one. Whatever, right? Casual Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. But in the end, I'm glad this movie was made in a way that the fans of the franchise can truly enjoy, and make the franchise something others can enjoy as well. The actors did their best too. Love Matthew Lillard's performance as William. The characters themselves are fine, and giving Mike a sort of arc of realizing he has been focusing too much on the past was nice, and his whole thing with Dream Theory was pretty cool as well. The animatronics were honestly some of the best parts of the movie, like visually. Like it was cool as hell to see them move around and do their own thing. It was cool. It was something you would expect a Five Nights at Freddy's movie would have, essentially. But that's it. That's my review on Five Nights at Freddy's. Not a bad movie, not a masterpiece, but somewhere in the middle, right? It's a 7 for me. Thank you guys for watching, and the support for the channel and everything. Stay safe and stay healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. Peace out. Love you guys.